$725 million. That is what American cargo theft crews stole off the back of trucks last year alone. Not spread across a decade, one single year. And the average stolen load hit around $274,000, up 36% inside a 12-month stretch. You have been lied to about where the danger actually is. Every recruiter, every safety video, every dispatch board says the same tired thing. Just avoid the big cities. Just park at any well-lit truck stop. Just get some sleep and you will be fine. You will not be fine. There are 12 places in this country where hitting the brakes for a shower is the same as writing a resignation letter to your own load. These are not the exits your uncle warned you about in 1998. The freight moved. The crews followed. The map inside your head is at least 5 years out of date. Wait until you hear number 1. A single street where organized crews hit so relentlessly, the Federal Bureau of Investigation stood up a permanent task force with that street on the memo. And this July, prosecutors unsealed a $2 million sneaker heist run, partly by workers on the inside. You will also hear about a Route 66 truck stop where a full crew lifted 4 pallets of California tech in 11 minutes flat, and one Chicago corner where a driver visiting his own family got shot dead inside his own cab. Think you know the danger corridors out here? You do not, because the suits will not update the list. Bad for recruiting. Hit subscribe before we roll. This one saves you a trailer, a career, or a lot worse. Let us break it down. Snoqualmie Pass on Interstate 90 in Washington State is where the road tries to kill you, and the state calls it Tuesday. Here's a quirk nobody tells rookies. Washington bans studded tires from April through October, and even in season, studs do not count as legal chains under state code. Your $70 tire upgrade is essentially decoration, and the state text alert code is one word, START, not a hotline. A pep talk, the pass sits at 3,022 feet. In March of 2025, Interstate 90 shut down in both directions after a run of semi-crashes. The State Department of Transportation reported roughly 20 inches of snow overnight and nearly 100 miles of highway to clear before anybody moved. The danger here is not a theft crew, it is a mountain with mood swings. Fog rolls out of the tree line and turns your headlights into 2 flashlights aimed inside a coffee can. Then the snow shows up like an ex who did not RSVP. Then the ice hides underneath and waits for you to touch the brake pedal. Your studs, once again, are legally decoration. You are a lawn ornament with air brakes. Picture this, 3 in the morning, your reefer is humming. The pass just closed for the 4th time in a week. 2 lanes of headlights stack up behind you to the last exit, and a plow driver on his 4th double shift is pretending he still knows where the shoulder begins. Drop a comment if you have run this pass in a whiteout. Number 11 is where the freight actually starts going missing. Number 11 is Savannah, Georgia, where the port is booming and the theft crews are running a discount version of it in a warehouse just up the road. Here is the quirk. Garden City Terminal in Savannah is the largest single terminal container facility in North America. It is also the reason Georgia is spending $189 million raising the Talmadge Memorial Bridge, so bigger container ships can slide underneath. The port literally is not tall enough for its own ambition. In fiscal year 2025, the Port of Savannah moved roughly 5.7 million container units, up 8.6% over the year before. Georgia sits at about 4% of all United States cargo theft per Overhaul's annual report. In February of 2024, deputies in Effingham County walked into a warehouse in the town of Vergne, roughly 10 miles from the port gate, and found around $1 million in stolen cargo. Cell phones, food, Peloton equipment. Someone was building the world's saddest online lifestyle store out of a rented industrial unit. That is the trade-off in Savannah. You are not fighting one desperate thief. You are competing with a small business that pays no rent, files no permits, and buys its inventory from your trailer. Their marketing is word of mouth. Their overhead is a padlock. Their customer service policy is do not ask. Like this video if the words Peloton and cargo theft in the same sentence just gave you a headache. Number 10 is a fog so thick, Virginia hung cameras from the sky to see through it. Number 10 is Fancy Gap Mountain on Interstate 77 in Virginia is the reason the state hangs speed cameras in the sky. The quirk is the fog. Not weather, not seasonal, just fog. Fancy Gap sits inside the clouds roughly a third of the year. So Virginia spent $7.5 million installing a variable speed limit system just for this stretch, plus 15 cameras at $40,000 apiece. That is a 15-camera surveillance operation aimed at a piece of atmosphere. The receipts are brutal. On Easter Sunday of 2013, a fog bank rolled in and produced a chain of crashes involving 95 vehicles inside a single mile of pavement. 17 separate wrecks, 3 dead, 25 injured. It was the largest pileup in Virginia history at the time. That mountain is a bully. It waits at the top and lets the truck ahead of you disappear into a wall of white. Then it waits for the truck behind you to not see the wall coming. Then your $250,000 reefer becomes the middle of a sandwich made out of somebody else's trailer. And once the pile happens, You are stuck for hours while a Department of Transportation crew tries to separate what used to be 7 different companies. The parallel roads are worse. Every back road off Fancy Gap runs up the same ridge, in the same fog, past the same exits. You cannot outrun a mountain by taking its side entrance. Subscribe if driving into a wall of cloud sounds like the worst possible commute. Number 9 is where the theft crews wear reflective vests. Number 9 is Edgerton, Kansas, a town most drivers have never heard of. Sitting on top of one of the biggest inland ports in the country. The Quirk sells the whole entry. Edgerton has a population of about 1,748 people, and it hosts a 3,000-acre BNSF intermodal facility called Logistics Park, Kansas City. 5 Class 1 railroads intersect the Kansas City Metro, more than any other inland gateway in North America. A town smaller than most high schools quietly moves 1.5 million containers a year. Rail theft is the crime here, and it exploded in 2025. The Association of American Railroads reported more than 75,000 theft incidents on major railroads last year, with losses over $200 million. That is a 50% jump inside a single 12-month window, and only about 1 theft attempt in 10 leads to an arrest. The trade-off is you get robbed by professionals with union cards. Rail crews cut the air hose on a train's brake system, force the train to stop in the middle of nowhere, and then work the containers like a farmer's market. Road police do not chase rail cases. Rail cops do not have jurisdiction on the state highway. And by the time either badge figures out whose problem this is, your load is gone, and the containers are peeled open on the tracks like tin cans somebody stepped on. Subscribe if you did not know a town of 1,700 people could ship your Christmas presents. Number 8 is where theft crews stop stealing your load and start staging a car crash instead. Number 8 is not one city, it is a scam. And it lives strongest along Interstate 10 in California, with a satellite office in El Paso, Texas. Here's the quirk. This is the only entry on this list where the danger to your career is not somebody breaking into your rig. It is somebody driving into your rig on purpose, and then handing you an insurance card. In 2023, California recorded 5,366 staged crashes. New York was second at 1,729. Florida was third. And here is the number that should stop your heart. The median nuclear verdict against a trucking company in 2024 hit $51 million, up from $21 million in 2020. If a jury decides you are the villain, one bad staged crash is the end of a fleet. A federal probe called Operation Sideswipe cracked open a New Orleans crash for cash ring where a lawyer, a doctor, and a passenger would team up to cut off a truck, brake hard, and file. Chubb and CR England alone paid $4.7 million in settlements tied to it. The ring allegedly murdered an informant who was cooperating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The trade-off is the paperwork. Someone cuts you off, you brake, you call your safety department. And now the road ahead of you has a Cadillac full of accomplices, a body shop in on it, a doctor certifying injuries that do not exist, and a lawyer already filing motions before your dispatcher picks up. You did nothing wrong. You are still going to spend 2 years in a deposition explaining that. Like this video, if the phrase nuclear verdict just aged you 3 years. Number 7 is a port so busy the theft crews are downsizing. Number 7 is Houston, Texas, specifically LaPorte and Barber's Cut on the Port of Houston complex, threaded with Interstate 10 and Interstate 45. The quirk is the port itself. Barber's Cut was the first purpose-built container terminal on the entire United States Gulf Coast. Houston is the energy capital of the world, and the freight rolling out of Barber's Cut goes literally everywhere in the country because the road network here fans out like nowhere else. Texas ranks second nationally for cargo theft in 2025 at roughly 20% of all United States incidents per overhaul. But here is the twist. In the first quarter of 2026, Texas theft actually fell 22%, according to CargoNet. The crews are not gone. They got picky. Instead of hitting 10 random trailers a month, they are running surveillance on a specific load and taking exactly one that pays for the whole quarter. That is the trade-off. Houston theft crews have gone corporate. They have a research department now. They know which shipper handles the enterprise computer hardware, which dispatcher checks his phone during shift change, and which staging lot on LaPorte Boulevard has cameras that quit working in the June humidity. The theft rate goes down, the average haul goes up. Somewhere in a rented office, a spreadsheet is tracking their quarterly performance metrics against your dispatch board. And you thought your safety department was slow. Picture this, you clear the terminal gate at 7 in the evening. Your appointment at the receiver is 8 in the morning. Dispatch says stage close by, which translates to an unfenced lot behind a shuttered warehouse on LaPorte Boulevard, where somebody in a Silverado already pulled off Interstate 10 to sit 2 rows over from your trailer. Hit like if the phrase corporate theft crew is the most 2026 sentence you have heard this week. Number 6 is a border town nobody puts on this list. Number 6 is Nogales, Arizona, a border town where America gets its winter salad and where a completely new kind of freight scam just got busted in a casino parking lot. Here's the quirk. The Mariposa port of entry in Nogales is where the majority of America's winter produce crosses into the country. Tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, peppers. If it is January and you are eating a fresh vegetable, there is a decent chance it slept in a reefer that idled at Mariposa yesterday. The scam is fresh, and it is called cabotage fraud. In 2025, Homeland Security investigations indicted 2 trucking company owners named Luis Rivera and Jimmy Watson Sr. in a first-of-its-kind case out of Rio Rico near Nogales. The scheme was drivers holding Mexican B-1 business visas who are legally banned from moving loads inside the United States, doing exactly that. The handoff spot? A desert diamond casino parking lot and various truck stop lots along the corridor. Program accuracy note. In June of 2026, Governor Katie Hobbs signed Senate Bill 1452, standing up a statewide Arizona cargo theft task force with 6 investigators inside the Attorney General's office. The state finally has a badge for this problem. What the state does not have is enough badges. The trade-off in Nogales is you cannot tell which truck belongs to which company. Paperwork looks real. Trailers look real. Drivers look real, and then a load quietly changes hands in a lot next to a slot machine and rolls off toward Phoenix. If you are the honest carrier hauling out of the same yard, you are competing on price against people who are not competing on anything. Comment if you have run Interstate 19 out of Nogales. Number 5 is the Pilferage capital of America, and it is not where you think. Number 5 is Vergne, Tennessee, a Nashville suburb where an alarming share of America's books ship out of and where cargo pilferage just hit a national record. Here is the quirk. Vergne hosts Bridgestone's distribution operations and the Ingram Content Group book distribution megahub. A huge share of America's paperbacks, hardcovers, and college textbooks physically leave the country from this exit. If you have ever bought a novel online, there is a real chance the trailer it rode on parked in Vergne. Now the receipts. In the first quarter of 2026, Tennessee led the nation in cargo pilferage share at roughly 37% of all pilferage incidents per Overhaul. Tennessee ranked 3rd nationally overall at 11% of thefts in 2025, and pilferage in the automotive parts category climbed 142% from the 4th quarter of 2025 to the 1st quarter of 2026. The named incident tells you what pilferage looks like now. A trailer running from Redmond, Washington to Grapevine. Texas lost 2,810 Nintendo Switch, 2 consoles from a stop along the route. That is not a heist. That is an inventory management problem for a Best Buy the crew is now running out of a garage. The trade-off in Vergne is you cannot tell which stops the pilferage happens at until after your load is short. And nobody wants to hear from you when the miscount surfaces at the receiver. The receiver blames the shipper blames the driver blames the co-driver who was in the bunk. Meanwhile, a Nintendo Switch 2 just sold on a marketplace app for $100 off retail with a note that says brand new. Still sealed. Subscribe if the words Nintendo Switch and pilferage in the same paragraph gave you a Sunday afternoon headache. Number 4 is a Route 66 truck stop where a full crew unloaded 4 pallets in 11 minutes flat. Number 4 is the Interstate 40 corridor across northern Arizona, running through Ash Fork, Seligman, and Kingman. And this one has the best origin story on the list. The quirk is Seligman. That tiny town on Route 66 is officially called the birthplace of historic Route 66. And the Pixar animation team spent time there before creating the movie Cars. Radiator Springs is essentially Seligman with worse plumbing. You are hauling through the town that inspired a Pixar franchise. Now the theft. The Yavapai County Sheriff's Office issued a warning to drivers about coordinated Sprinter van crews working the corridor. In one documented incident, a California technology load was hit at an Ash Fork truck stop. 4 pallets of high-value cargo, valued between $150,000 and $175,000, transferred into Sprinter vans in 11 minutes flat while the driver was inside the truck stop building. Meanwhile, a few miles away, the rail lines through northern Arizona became a Nike freight train buffet. Court records reported by Investigate TV describe a December of 2024 heist worth nearly $50,000 in Nike shoes, and a January of 2025 follow-up worth more than $200,000. The method? Crews cut the air hose for the train's brake system, forcing a stop, and then work the containers while the rail crew tries to figure out what happened. The trade-off is 11 minutes. You are showering. They are stealing. You are ordering a burger at the truck stop counter. They are gone before your fries hit the tray. You are pumping fuel. Somebody is filming your trailer for a video briefing they will run at the next crew huddle. You cannot outshop them. You cannot outrun them, and the only defense is not stopping at all. Picture this: Route 66, neon at dusk. A quiet town where Pixar animators once sketched a cartoon car. A truck stop with a diner and a Mercury light in the parking lot, your rig sitting under the shine. And in the shadows past the fuel islands, a rented Sprinter van doing math on your trailer number. Like this video if you have ever eaten a plate of eggs at a Route 66 diner and worried about your truck the whole time. Number 3 is where the entire American theft map moved in a year. Number 3 is Kern County, California, and its neighbor San Joaquin County to the north. This is the entry where the map of American cargo theft literally shifted in a single year. Here is the quirk. Kern County produces the bulk of America's almonds, pistachios, and a huge share of the country's carrots, which means the Interstate 5 and Highway 99 corridors through Bakersfield and Stockton are hauling something almost invisible on paper and priceless in a warehouse. Because a trailer full of almonds has no serial numbers, no tracking chips, no way to prove it is your almonds versus the almonds already in some processor's inventory. It is a bearer bond that grew on a tree. CargoNet reported that Kern County cargo theft rose 82% in 2025. That was the fastest climb of any theft hotspot in the country. San Joaquin County, home to Stockton, jumped 44%. And in the same year, Los Angeles County theft actually fell 11%. The freight did not disappear. The crews just commuted north. They looked at Los Angeles heat and Kern County almonds and made a rational business decision. California is now the #1 cargo theft state in America, with 1,218 incidents recorded in 2025. California and Texas together accounted for 58% of every cargo theft in the country. The trade-off in the Central Valley is the theft crews are operating like a startup that just closed a Series B. They are hiring. They are scaling. They are tracking metrics on which lots have working cameras and which trailer numbers show up on which manifest. Meanwhile, the state of California is still debating whether to fund a task force at all. A statewide cargo theft task force bill is currently pending in Sacramento, meaning lawmakers have until November of 2026 to pass it. Meaning the theft crews got a full year of runway before the state even shows up to the meeting. Picture this: 6 in the morning in the San Joaquin Valley, Tule fog draped over the almond orchards. A rig humming behind a truck stop off Highway 99. The driver is asleep in the bunk, 30 minutes from clocking on to his final leg. And 100 yards away, in a Sprinter van with the headlights killed, somebody is comparing his door numbers against a printed list. The load leaves without the driver. He wakes up hours later to a note from dispatch. And the almonds are already inside a repackaging facility somewhere off Highway 99, being renamed as somebody else's product before the sun clears the mountains. Share this video with the driver in your life who thinks Bakersfield is a safe stop. Number 2 is the entry where the danger is not cargo at all. It is a bullet. Number 2 is Chicago, Illinois. And this is the entry that makes the whole video darker. Because the danger here is not just cargo, it is drivers being killed inside their own trucks. And the numbers, the geography, and the federal response tell you this is not going away. Here is the operational scale. According to the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, roughly 25% of all freight trains and 50% of all intermodal trains in the United States pass through metropolitan Chicago. It is the primary interchange between Western and Eastern railroads. Every load moving from Los Angeles to New Jersey or from Seattle to Georgia is at some point sitting in a Chicago intermodal facility waiting on the next handoff. Chicago is one of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's 4 biggest cargo theft metros. Illinois accounted for roughly 7% of all United States cargo theft in 2025 per Overhaul, and the state is still top tier even as the New York Metro surges. There is an active FBI Chicago cargo theft task force. There has to be. But the story that anchors number 2 is not about a stolen load. It is about a driver. Gary Clark was 39 years old. He was a truck driver from Ontario, Canada, visiting family in the Inglewood neighborhood of Chicago. On the 5800 block of South Aberdeen, he was fatally shot inside the cab of his semi during a robbery. At least 3 men attempted it. He did not survive. That is the story. That is the truth of number 2. The trade-off in Chicago is a bureaucratic clown car. There is nowhere legal to park a semi inside a metropolitan area that produces a quarter of America's train freight. The city points at the state points at the federal government points at private developers. Private developers point at zoning boards. The boards point back at the city. Meanwhile, drivers end up on residential blocks, on shoulders, in intermodal lots without any security at all. And every single body in that blame carousel gets to write a memo about how important logistics is to the Illinois economy. Picture this: a working driver from a different country, on his own time, visiting his own family, on a block where the city long ago stopped pretending to solve the crime rate, and a rig sitting on the curb because there was nowhere else to leave it. Subscribe if you did not know a quarter of America's freight moves through this one city. Number 1 is a single street. Number 1 is a single street. Lamar Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee, running southeast out of the city as United States Highway 78 through the industrial parks and rail yards between Interstate 240 and the Mississippi state line. Nothing else in America competes with it. Here is the quirk nobody in the trade press ever covers. Lamar Avenue is the old United States Highway 78, historically nicknamed Pigeon Roost Road across the Tennessee stretch. At 2205 Lamar Avenue, there is a 200-foot silo tower built in 1951 as an animal feed mill, with 42 individual silos still standing visible from the roadway. It looks like a Cold War rocket base. It has been sitting there for 75 years, watching the freight roll through. Now the data. The Federal Bureau of Investigation's Memphis Cargo Theft Task Force publicly stated that the city averages, in their exact words, 1 cargo theft every day of the year. Shelby County accounted for nearly 70% of all Tennessee cargo thefts in 2024. Memphis ranks consistently among the top United States cargo theft cities, and it is one of the FBI's 4 named biggest cargo theft metros in the country. The named incident is fresh off the wire. On July 21st of 2026, prosecutors unsealed an indictment against 12 people in connection with a Nike cargo theft ring that ran between July of 2021 and June of 2024. The total value stolen is estimated at more than $2 million. 6 of the people indicted were Nike employees working inside the North American Logistics Center in Memphis. The scheme? Fraudulent UPS labels applied to Nike cartons, rerouting inventory to accomplices around the country. The investigation was run by the FBI Cargo Theft Task Force out of the Nashville field office, alongside the Los Angeles Police Department Commercial Crimes Division. The trade-off in Memphis is that even the warehouse is not on your side. The Nike case tells you the theft is not just people breaking into trailers on a dark stretch of Lamar. It is workers on the inside changing the labels before your rig ever pulled up. Nike's employee retention program on that shift produced negative returns. The company hired 6 people and paid them to steal Nikes. Somewhere in a corporate training deck, there is a slide about culture that did not survive contact with reality, and the executives will spend the next 2 years explaining, quietly, that the answer to the question, how did this happen, is workers looked at their paycheck, looked at the retail price of a sneaker, and did the math. Picture this: sunset on Lamar Avenue, the old grain silos throwing shadows the length of a semi across the pavement, freight rolling southeast under a Tennessee sky. Every trailer on that road is a decision made by somebody in a distribution center that either does or does not have a person on the inside working an angle. And you are the driver whose name gets attached to whatever leaves the yard, whether or not it arrives. The federal government eventually noticed. The FBI stood up a permanent Memphis task force. Tennessee passed new cargo theft statutes in 2025. The state finally took swings at the problem. It is not enough yet, but at least the fight is now on paper. If your route ever puts you on Lamar Avenue, deliver, and then put miles between yourself and the exit before you shut down for the night. There are cleaner stops within an hour in every direction. Every countdown has a worst. This one earned it. That is the map. 12 places where the freight bleeds and the drivers pay. From a mountain pass in Washington that treats its own studded tires like decoration, all the way down to a single street in Memphis with its own federal task force. Here is the reframe. Trucker safety in 2026 is not a truck problem. It is a geography problem. The freight moved. The crews followed. Nobody with a suit or a lanyard is going to update the map for you, which is where this channel comes in. Hit like because the algorithm likes the way a shipper treats detention pay. It pretends not to notice, but eventually it pays out. Subscribe because the next video is where the theft crews start hunting a completely different kind of load. And you want the warning before your dispatch does. Share this with the driver in your family who still thinks Memphis is a truck stop instead of a case file. Stay smart, stay subscribed, and whatever else you do, avoid parking where the freight has already been counted twice.